Things working, particularly my microphone. So if you can hear me, especially all the way down those back carriages, can I get a bit of a wave out the side of the bus windows? Yes, let me check the left side. Beautiful, that's what we like to see. As we make our way up to the first gate today, I'm just going to go over a couple of safety considerations for our trip today. Now, being that this is an open vehicle, when we get quite close to the animals out there, so when we do, we're going to ask that you keep your arms, your legs, your children, cameras, anything valuable inside the bus, and that's of course for your own safety as well as the safety of our animals out there. Alright, now very last thing as we wait for this gate to open, some of these roads around safari can be pretty bumpy, and every now and again we might have to stop suddenly for an animal. So particularly the ostriches can be a little bit cheeky around the road sometimes, so where possible it's best just to stay seated.
Alright baby, from one side. That's the giraffe.
Alright folks, so welcome into our arid area. This is our first area we're going to visit today. We've got a couple of animals living here that are used to some pretty extreme temperatures or conditions in the wild. Now we can see some under the tree here. We've also got one of our camels walking around. But we are going to come up a little bit closer and then we'll... And the idea being that the girls will sit on the eggs during the day and then the boys will sit on the eggs during the night. So the girls have those brown feathers and then the boys have sort of a black and white looking feathers. Now, like I said, this is, we can't stop here. We have to sort of keep coming by because they've been a bit cheeky around the fence line here, sort of pacing around, and we don't want to encourage that sort of behaviour. Now, when we get down to the savannah, we're going to... And the idea being that the girls will sit on the eggs during the day and then the boys will sit on the eggs during the night. So the girls have those brown feathers and then the boys have sort of a black and white looking feathers. Now, like I said, this is, we can't stop here. We have to sort of keep coming by because they've been a bit cheeky around the fence line here, sort of pacing around, and we don't want to encourage that sort of behaviour. Now, when we get down to the savannah, we're going... Now here at Werribee, we've just got the two camels. So we've got Atta on the ground over there, and walking around near that zebra bus, we can see a really red coloured camel. Her name is Sahara. Now also all throughout the zoo here, we've got a lot of Cape Barren geese, which are those big grey birds with the yellow on their beak. They've migrated over from South Australia, had babies not too long ago, and that's why we've got an excess of them in the zoo. So as we drive through all the areas here, you'll probably see... Now here at Werribee, we've just got the two camels. So we've got Atta on the ground over there, and walking around near that zebra bus, we can see a really red coloured camel. Her name is Sahara. Now also all throughout the zoo here, we've got a lot of Cape Barren geese, which are those big grey birds with the yellow on their beak. They've migrated over from South Australia, had babies not too long ago, and that's why we've got an excess of them in the zoo. So as we drive through all the areas here, you'll probably see... Alright, so we're just going to let them cross over because sometimes if the herd can't see the rest of the herd, they can get a little bit distressed, and these buses vote with these guys. They've actually been extinct in the wild for about 25 years. So that means no more in Africa. You can only see them in zoos and sanctuaries like this, which is quite sad. And a lot of people were actually hunting these animals because of their horns. Now, in a conservation success story, very recently these guys have been taken off that extinct in the wild status, and it's one of the first times that's ever happened. Currently there's about 600 of these guys in the east of Africa toward areas like Chad. Now going from 0 to 600 is definitely in the right direction, so we're pretty excited about that. But we just do what we can from this side of the world to increase those numbers and bring some awareness to these people. Oh, If you look on the left, we can actually see the hippos walking around right now on the beach. So it looks like they're making their way over to the water. Now, I wouldn't be able to tell you who's who from this angle. Now, being that these guys are subaquatic animals, quite often we do see them in the river, suggests. Now, despite their small size, these guys can hit speeds of around 90 kilometers an hour. So almost keeping pace with you on the highway home, which is pretty incredible. Hey Laura, if you could just tell us what you're doing over there. We see you've got a bell and all the antelope seem pretty excited.
Yes, I'm a slave to the black buck. I have their training bell here, so every morning and sometimes through the day as well, we use what we call a recall sound. So I'm dinging this little bell and I call the black buck over. And then I give them some treats, which is pellets. So I'm going to get off the radio and do that now before they disappear.
No worries, thank you so much for that. Alright, and we've also got all the Nyala running over as well. So this is the perfect timing. So the Nyala, they're coming from Southeast Africa, and you can see they've got those beautiful stripes and spots which go all the way down their body, which help them camouflage really well with the trees. So normally we see them hiding in the background. Very rare that we'll see them running across the plains and the grass like this. So again, a really beautiful view. Now with the Nyala, if you see them walking, they've actually got very small feet. It sort of looks like they're walking around on their little tippy. Now with those Nyala that we just saw running around, we've actually got a couple of little babies that have been born in that area. Banner. Sometimes the same as our hippos, look for some bubbles on the surface and that'll give you a clue to where the animals might be hiding. So this is Werribee River we're crossing over now. Came in again and have a look. He's about double the size of the girls and he carries that all in his shoulders and his head there, and what a fantastic head of hair he's got. So this is Lakota over here, and like I said, the girls, they're around 600 kilos. Most of the male bison are over 1,000, so just to put that in perspective for you guys. And you can see all that fur coming down his legs as well. It's sort of like a big lion's mane. Now these guys are coming from very cold climates in the wild, and if you can see, they've got a really big hump on their back that makes them effective as a snow plow, so they can move their head from left to right and forge their way through really deep snow. And one of the ways they've adapted beyond the bison, and these guys are a little bit harder to see normally, but we've got some Mongolian wild as well. But as far as this road goes, we are almost to the end of it now. So I think most of you are going to get a pretty big clue about the next animal we'll be looking for on safari. A bit closer, and we'll have a bit of a chat about what we're seeing. Also, we've got another type of antelope coming up on the right side. It looks a bit different than they can sort of look to us here at Werribee. Alright, and there's actually two of them who are sitting in a pile of rhino poo right now. It seems pretty disgusting, but again, the bus is we're about to come past our southern white rhinos. And we've just got 3 of them out there right now, and we can actually see little baby lying very close to the road here. Now that is little Jabulani, and he's our newest. Now these are southern white rhinos that we're seeing. And normally we've got a watermelon there. Now I knew they were doing this with the elephants earlier, but it looks like they've brought down a couple of extra for the giraffe to play with. That's very cool. So again, we've got Harold who's with the watermelon, and then Jelani behind him who's licking that pole in the back there. I don't think they've sprayed it with anything today. He's just quite curious. And then we've got big AJ in the back as well. Next to them we can see our beautiful dazzle of plain zebra, which is one of the more common types of zebra you'll find around the world. But what's really special is just at the front of the zebra, we've got 3 of our baby giraffes sitting down together. Now, giraffes don't sit down much in the wild because if you can imagine, it leaves them too vulnerable to predators because it takes them a really long time to get back up again from the ground. So a giraffe will only sit down in their environment when they're feeling totally safe and secure and they've got nothing to worry about. Being that these are our younger boys, that's exactly the sort of behaviours we want to foster. So it's beautiful that they're all lying out there today. So lying there, the closest one, that's David, then the one who